Hey there, 7th graders. It's Mr. Washington again, and it's time for another video lesson. Today, we're going to be talking about persuasive writing. In the past, we've discussed the different types of authors' purposes. We said that authors can write to either persuade, inform, or entertain. PI. One of the most challenging types of writing is writing to persuade. That is, writing something that will influence people to do what you want them to. Think about how often you've needed to persuade others to do something, and you'll realize that it's a situation that arises almost every day. Persuasive writing can be difficult. How do you make someone believe what you believe? But if you can master a few important strategies, persuasive writing can be a powerful tool in helping you get what you want. So today, we're going to be taking notes, Cornell notes to be precise. The notes we'll have in class will look something like this. You can use the pre-filled in kind or the blank ones if you prefer. You'll want to put your name, class and period, and date in the upper right hand of the page, just like always. You'll also want to write the topic of these notes just to the left of that. Today's topic, Persuasive Strategies. As a part of this lesson, you should also have a sample persuasive essay that we'll be looking at a bit later on. By the way, this video is adapted from a presentation taken from the readwritethink.org website and is being used for educational purposes only, so hopefully that message will keep the copyright police off my back. Now that the legal stuff's out of the way, let's take some notes. Before we get to the meat of our lesson, let's begin by addressing our learning targets for today. That is, what we're trying to accomplish by taking these notes. There are two objectives that we're going to focus on today. Remember, do not write these down. They are for informational purposes only. The first objective, we want to be able to use knowledge of persuasive essays as a model for writing. And the second objective, we want to be able to choose appropriate strategies for organizing our ideas before writing. Now, these objectives will lead us to our essential guiding question, which you will want to write down at the top of your Cornell notes. Our essential guiding question, put simply, is how do you write an effective persuasive essay? You'll want to put that right here at the top of your Cornell notes, just below the topic. Once you've done that, you're ready to proceed. Let's begin by defining persuasion. Persuasion is all around you, so it should be easy to come up with a definition. Persuasion is defined as writing, speaking, or media that attempts to influence the audience to understand, agree with, or do what the author or speaker asserts. Now, that word assert may be new to you, and we're going to talk about what an assertion is in a moment. But the important thing is that persuasion is an act of influencing the audience. It is an act of power, making others do what you want them to. The better your persuasive writing, the more powerful a writer you become. There are examples of persuasion all around us, people trying to get us to believe what they want. Things like TV and radio commercials, infomercials, billboards, political debates, print ads in magazines and newspaper, editorials and op-ed pages. Op-ed just stands for opinion editorial, campaign material for political parties, and much, much more. For our purposes, we're going to be focusing on writing a persuasive essay, one that expresses your opinion and allows you to try and persuade the writer to accept that opinion. So let's take a closer look at that word, assertion. Any good persuasive writing, whether it's a TV commercial or a political ad, begins with an assertion. It's sometimes called a claim, and it's really the author's thesis or main idea for writing. An assertion is defined as your main point of your essay. Here you state your argument and explain to the reader what you believe. An example of an assertion or claim might be something like, I'm going to try to convince you that chocolate is a healthy snack. This is what the writer believes, and though you may or may not agree with him or her, it's what the writer is going to try to persuade you about. Everything from this point in the essay should be about how chocolate is a healthy snack. Now, once you've stated your assertion, you must support it by using evidence or proof that your assertion should be believed. The best way to do this is by using persuasive strategies. We're going to go with 6 persuasive strategies today. There can be more, but these are the most basic ones and the ones we're going to be focusing on in class for the next few days. So, let's find out what they are. Our first persuasive strategy is called big names. This is defined as using experts and important people to support your side of the argument. An example of this might be former U.S. President Bill Clinton thinks that junk food should be taken out of vending machines. The idea is to make your reader believe that your assertion is correct because someone more important than you agrees with it. Now, this can be a little tricky unless you actually have the words of this important person. So if you're going to use big names, you'll probably have to do some reading and research to find someone who agrees with your assertion. But if you can find them, using big names can be a powerful persuasive tool. Our next persuasive strategy is called logos. This is probably the most commonly used persuasive strategy, and it's defined as using logic, numbers, and facts and data to support your argument. An example might read something like, a Snickers bar has 280 calories and 30 grams of sugar. That's not very healthy. Here, the writer uses verifiable facts to support his or her opinion. You could look at the wrapper on the outside of a Snickers bar to verify that this information is true. Therefore, the argument seems easier to believe. If you want the reader to accept your assertion, using logos is always good. Moving on, our next persuasive strategy is called pathos. Pathos is defined as appealing to your audience's emotions. We see this all the time in commercials that are designed to make us feel something in order to convince us. Something like, your donation might just get this puppy off the street and into a good home. We see the sad picture of a puppy and we're motivated to do something. If you can tap into your audience's emotions, you have them eating out of your hand. Well, not literally unless you're this little guy. Isn't that cute? See? Pathos. Our next persuasive strategy is called ethos. This means making yourself seem trustworthy and believable. An example might be, believe me, I've been there before, I'm just like you. The writer tries to make a personal connection with the reader by talking directly about himself or herself. If you bring yourself into the writing with the purpose of making yourself seem like someone who should be trusted, then you're using ethos. The next persuasive strategy is called Kairos. Kairos means building a sense of urgency for your cause. In other words, something must happen right now. You see this all the time in commercials where they try to get you to act now. They might say something like, this is a one-time offer, you can't get this price after today. The audience is compelled to act and act quickly for fear of missing out on something important. When you see a commercial or ad that tells you to act right away, then they're using Kairos. Our sixth and final strategy is called research. This means using studies and information to make your argument seem more convincing. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that you are the one doing the research. It could be research that someone else is doing that you are citing. For example, a recent study found that students who watch TV during the week don't do as well in school. Of course, to use this study, you're probably going to have to do some researching of your own to find it, hence the name research. And with that, we've noted all 6 of our persuasive strategies. Of course, no Cornell Notes sheet would be complete without a summary. The purpose of summarizing is to look back at your notes one last time and briefly restate the most important parts of what you wrote. For this summary, you'll want to answer the following questions in your own words. First question, what is an assertion? And the second question, what persuasive strategies can be used to support an assertion. Look back at your notes if you need to. That's the whole purpose of doing the summary. And once you've done that, you're finished with your notes. And so concludes this lesson on persuasive writing strategies. Remember that as a part of this lesson, you should also have a copy of a persuasive writing example to add to your notes. We'll review that together in the future, but in the meantime, look it over on your own and see what a good persuasive essay looks like. Then add the notes and the sample essay to your binder for later use. Thank you for joining me in this video lesson. This is Mr. Washington saying, see you later, 7th grader.